There's all sorts of different toppings you can put on a steak, from A1 steak sauce to béarnaise, but my favorite is chimichurri. And I'll be showing you today how to make this delicious chimichurri. It's like a pesto, but with cilantro and parsley instead. There's a little bit of acidity inside of it due to the red wine vinegar we're gonna be using. There's some garlic and then a mixture of coriander, cumin, and red pepper flakes. And it just has that perfect amount of acidity to complement the steak. We're also gonna be talking in depth today about how to temp your steak, how to set up your grill, what resting is and the importance of resting your steak, and then how to cut this specific type of meat. Your meat's gonna cook more evenly if you allow it to come up to room temperature in the hours preceding your cooking it. Flank steak is a fairly lean cut of meat. So I've got a little fillet knife out right here. We're just gonna start taking this out. So we've trimmed up both sides of our flanks. If there's a little bit of fat sitting and hanging out here, that's totally fine. Now we're just gonna get some coarse kosher salt, and we're gonna season this bad boy up. So I have in the recipe 2 total tablespoons of salt. This has been generously salted, and I would advise you to do this even up to a day ahead of cooking your steak. The longer that it sits with the salt on the outside of it, the deeper that salt is gonna be able to penetrate into our meat, the more flavorful it's gonna be. Don't ever let any kind of raw meat sit out on the countertop at room temperature for more than 4 hours, okay? That's what any health department across the country is gonna tell you. After 4 hours, bacteria proliferates a lot faster and you run a much higher risk of getting a foodborne illness from that, okay? So be careful. Look who got locked out. Oh, hi, boy. Wow. I like pellet grill smokers in general, just because they maintain a nice, even temperature. Now, I will admit that it's not the best for a high heat kind of grilling that we're looking for the flank steak, just because, you know, you want this ridiculously hot, but it will get up to like 600 degrees at its highest. This will be coming up to temperature here while we make our chimichurri sauce. All right, into the food processor, everybody, is going to go our cilantro, flat leaf Italian parsley. The parsley has been destemmed. 3 minced up garlic cloves, red wine vinegar, and then our spices. 2 teaspoons of salt. Let's puree this bad boy up. It's like a South American pesto. I'm gonna avoid that super hot spot right in the middle. I'm gonna put it just to the right of it. We're gonna let this go for about a minute and a half, and then watching our temperature with our instant read digital thermometer. This is the second most important piece of equipment in your kitchen. The first most important piece of equipment, of course, being your chef's knife. This is going to guarantee the proper cooking temperatures of all of your proteins, which are typically the star of the plate, right? If you don't have one of these, they're like 15 bucks on Amazon. And if it breaks, it's like 15 bucks on Amazon. It's the second most important piece of equipment in your kitchen. Make sure you got one. 101. How do you get an accurate temp on such a thin cut of meat? Snake eye? That's a fantastic question. That last ½ inch, that's gonna be the only temperature sensing part of our probe. You wanna make sure that this part of our thermometer is in the thickest part of your meat. That's gonna be the lowest temperature that you're gonna find. Now, I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. Everybody's steak temperature is unique to them and how you like it, as long as it's not well done. Those people can get the hell out. You heard me. We're reading about 125, guys, so this needs to come off. We're tinting this with our aluminum foil, everybody, and we just need to allow this to rest. Since we temp this at about 125, it's gonna come up to in between medium, rare, and medium. It's not only carryover cooking, like taking that excess temperature from the grill and carrying it that last 10 degrees to whatever temperature you'd like it to be. It's also allowing time for the juices, the fat that are contained inside of our meat to reabsorb into the tissues a little bit. Now there's gonna be some leakage of moisture out of our steak as it's resting and whatnot. That's to be expected. But if we were to take this off the grill and directly cut it right away, it's gonna be much drier. It's just gonna run all over. It's gonna look like a crime scene. There's gonna be blood everywhere on your cutting board. And then all those juices that run out of your steak, don't end up on the plate. So you want to make sure the resting period is not only about the carryover cooking, but it's also about keeping this nice and juicy. This looks like a good meat slicing knife. This is the direction in which the grain travels. We're gonna cut across that grain. By cutting across the grain, it separates out all those fibers and it comes out deliciously tender. So just thin slices, everybody, like 1/4 of an inch thick. It's so juicy. Cutting this against the grain, I can just take a fork and cut this up now. A little bit of chimichurri right there. It's just so good. Chimichurri is the best steak sauce, hands down. You ever just think to yourself, damn, I'm good? If you'd like to cook along with the class guide, it's posted over at Ingrediology.org. The link, it's in the description. Please follow us on all of our socials. We're Ingrediology across all platforms. And for those of you who help us to buy groceries here on stream, you're awesome. You can do so as well over at Ko-fi.com/Ingrediology. And we'll see you here next week, Wednesday at 3 p.m. Mountain Time for another live cooking class. Check out one of our other videos. I've made tons of different recipes, all with class guides to accompany them.